Brian Mudd Show is on News Radio 610 WIOD.
Joining us, some legal perspective on what we are looking at, what's happened, where we're going from here, the Derek Chauvin case. Unless Rob Crain wants to comment on Superintendent Runce's situation, if he happens to know more at this point. But I know Rob Crain, who's an attorney at Crain Brogdon and Rogers, joining us once again. So, Rob, first, your thought about the potential for appeal in this case based upon factors such as it being held in Minneapolis and whether the jury could have been, untainted, the lack of sequestering the jury, and then perhaps even Maxine Waters and her role in all this.
Yeah, all interesting legal discussions. These kinds of appeals are very difficult. They are rarely granted. They will certainly be argued in this case, in particular as to the elected officials' comments. We need to all appreciate, or at least our elected officials need to appreciate their words matter on both sides of the political aisle here. That people listen to the words, they listen to the nuance of the words, and whether it leads to things like the attack on democracy on January 6th, or whether it potentially leads to rioting following an adverse result of a trial or something of that nature, our elected public officials on both sides need to be more careful in how what they're talking about. Their words matter, but the appeal will be all those issues will be raised. It'll be difficult.
The decision not to sequester the jury, did that strike you as odd?
I am generally pro-sequestering. I'm a little more liberal in that regard with that tool. I think that's a useful tool. Now, I don't know all of the specifics as to what the issues may have been and whether there would have been some juror issues that it would have been untenable for them and their families. I don't know. But I like the idea in a case like this, which is being watched by every American and, quite frankly, the world, that we provide them as much protection as possible. Remember, we've got the best civil justice system, criminal justice system, jury system in the world. It may not feel like it all the time. It's not perfect, but our juries get it right more times than not when the proper evidence is allowed in. And so I like the idea of protecting jurors, and sequestering in a case like this is something I'm generally in favor of, but I'm armchair quarterbacking this thing from a long way away and don't know all the details of these particular jurors.
If one was going to win an appeal, what's the threshold that has to be met? Does there have to be hard evidence, for example, that a jury was influenced because of whatever factors?
Well, they're kind of two different there are a lot of different points here, but one being that you can't get a fair trial in the local venue because it's too hot in that venue. There's so much coverage. You cannot find jurors who are going to be unbiased. The flip side is okay, where are you going to find jurors that are not influenced by what happened to George Floyd? And in this instance, everybody in America has seen portions or know about what happened to Mr. Floyd and likely have some gut reaction to it. So you've got to prove that there is an alternative, more fair venue, which might be difficult in this particular case. Now, as to the comments that were made and the judge's remark that this might be an appealable issue, you're going to have to find some type of causal evidence that shows that those comments likely made a difference in the verdict that was rendered. Again, a high bar here, and I think that'll be difficult.
It's a good insight, Rob. I certainly do appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time with us.
Anytime.